In April 2013, Fars, the primary news outlet in Iran, had announced that one of its country's quantum physicists had invented a time machine. Although the story was quickly ridiculed and dismissed, could it actually be linked to ancient Sumerian technology, a US Black Ops operations called Project Looking Glass, and even the Mandela effect? Could Iran, Iraq and the West be engaged in a war to manipulate time itself? And yes, I am a bot. Deal with it, and we are about to go way off the deep end in episode 12 of the mysterious Middle East.
The images you are seeing on television, you are seeing over and over and over, and it's the same picture of some person walking out of some building with a vase. And you see it 20 times. And you think, my goodness, were there that many vases?
Immediately following the US invasion of Iraq, the country's rich heritage became the target of looters as its museums were ransacked by criminals, with many of its artifacts finding their way onto the black market. However, many have theorized that the looting of these museums were not just the work of ordinary criminal opportunists, but also the involvement of several international organizations wishing to gain access to ancient technology. Inside the Iraqi National Museum in Baghdad, where thousands of valuable antiquities were stolen, international investigators eventually learned that there were 3 separate thefts, at least one of which was an inside job, another the work of professionals, and a third where fleeing Iraqi military had left open a door which let in the looters. At least 13,864 objects were stolen, making it the biggest museum thefts in history. Investigators officially labeled the raids as organized and selective, leading to some conspiracy theorists to believe that some looters went into the museum specifically to obtain a dormant piece of ancient technology from Iraq's distant past that could allow users to see into the future. Could this really have been the focus of some of the museum's raiders? 4 years earlier, ABC News reported that nearly 400 ancient Sumerian artifacts were discovered in Iraq in 1999 in the southern Iraqi town of Basmaya, about 100 miles south of Baghdad. The antiquities were dated to about 2500 BC and were added to those stored in the Iraqi National Museum, which had been closed to the public since the earlier Gulf War in 1991. In episode 5 of the mysterious Middle East, we played with the idea that an actual ancient Sumerian Stargate exists in Iraq. Now, conspiracy theorists believe that an offshoot of that technology was being kept in the Iraqi National Museum and that it might currently be used to assist in a form of time travel. American microbiologist Dan Crane, more commonly known as Dan Burish, and self-proclaimed expert on alien tech, claims that an offshoot of this Iraqi Stargate time technology is being used under the name of Project Looking Glass, a reverse-engineered technological initiative that provides users a means to look into the window of the multiverse, where the viewer can see alternate future timelines. It is his understanding of the project that now plays a central role in conspiracy theorists' general understanding of how far along international agencies have moved in the development of this form of warfare. A polarizing figure, even amongst conspiracy theorists, Dan Burish claimed that due to the extremely dangerous nature of time travel, the exercise of only viewing the future is a far safer alternative to actually traveling through time. He further confirms that the Looking Glass technology was reverse engineered from tech connected to the ancient Iraqi Stargate, giving the user a direct view into different probabilities of future events and alternate timelines. The insinuation here being that parts of this technology was being kept in the museum and stolen for Project Looking Glass. Up until 2013, such technology like the Looking Glass had remained outside of the mainstream news media and relegated to the realms of science fiction, fringe science and that weird corner of YouTube you're in right now. However, the announcement that Iranian scientists had developed the means to manipulate time in an eerily similar fashion to what ancient Sumerian technology could do, presented this technology to the world, front and center. Ali Razagi, an Iranian scientist who is the managing director of Iran's Center for Strategic Inventions, told Iran's state-run Fars news agency that his device can predict the next 5 to 8 years of the life of its users. Although details on the actual mechanics of the machine are sketchy, like the looking glass, it does appear to work primarily on the concept of the most probable outcome for any given individual or event. However, according to multiple news sources, it can only predict the possible outcome of just one timeline to a 98% certainty. Some Western outlets reported that the ostensible purpose of this device, which was reportedly developed under the supervision of the Iranian government, is to help the government see into the future and avoid conflicts and other problems. Razagi is reported to have said that with his device Iran's government can predict the possibility of a military confrontation with a foreign country, and forecast the fluctuation in the value of foreign currencies and oil prices. However, as the story began to rapidly gain international attention, the original article was quickly and quietly pulled from Fars' website, followed by Iran's Deputy Minister of Science, Research and Technology dismissing the claim. What was going on behind the scenes that led to the story being published then retracted is anyone's guess. However, a later interview given by the scientists saw the time travel claims reformatted from being an actual time travel device to just a hyper-advanced mathematical modeling program that can predict an outcome to any given situation. Yet regardless, Razagi still stands by the point that the program had already predicted the death of several individuals, and that he was developing another machine that would allow actual one-way time travel to the future. Yet strangely enough, Razagi's alleged breakthrough, real or not, should have raised more online eyebrows from those who are inclined to believe such technology can actually exist. The first issue here is how similar this technology is to supposed ancient Iraqi technology, given the cold relationship between the two nations. Hypothetically, could Iran have reverse-engineered Project Looking Glass and then quietly hushed up the breakthrough? And if the technology is real, how did it even get into the hands of Iran in the first place? Could they have had a hand in the looting of Iraqi museums? This is not the first time Iran has shown an active interest in utilizing occult methods and acknowledging the supernatural to further its activities. For example, as shown in episode 4 of The Mysterious Middle East, the Iranian administration was even for a while under an internal investigation for its use of actual magic in some of its operations, something that is wholly prohibited within Islam. So it's hardly a stretch to believe that they would actively pursue the means for time travel, even if it had dire consequences. In 2015, a curious phenomenon was reported worldwide where small but significant portions of the global population began exhibiting alternate memories of historical and current events. Most commonly known as the Mandela effect, this pop culture phenomena has been linked to the probable existence of multiple realities converging in a single universe. Back in the very first episode of The Mysterious Middle East, we played with the idea that an ancient advanced race, maybe the ancient Egyptians themselves, had found a way to manipulate quantum realities. According to Burish in 2006, the looking glass, if used enough, has the potential to negatively impact our existence and cause an unprecedented disaster. Could the Mandela effect be evidence of this breakdown? As crazy and outlandish Burish's claims were, some parts of his story, weirdly enough, do add up. Drawing a link between ancient Iraq and ancient Egypt, he claims that individuals from our future who had perfected this technology had also sent to the ancient past of these countries the means to develop it, where they were then found and placed in museums, creating a predestination time loop. Theoretically speaking, can this technology negatively impact the nature of our reality on a quantum level like the Mandela effect? Can the multiverse be real? With the likes of Stephen Hawking and Neil deGrasse Tyson saying that it is quite likely that we do live in a multiverse, to a growing movement in the field of fringe science who believe that it's theoretically possible for those alternate realities to interact with each other, maybe there could be an element of truth to Burish's tale. So if there is any truth to this outlandish story, then who could really be trying to manipulate time? If Iran is developing the ability, as of 2017, there is no evidence to prove that they have, or will, given the secretive nature of that nation. Even the existence of Iranian inventors Ali Razagi's Center for Strategic Inventions has a question mark over its function and even existence. Meanwhile, with the current state of Iraq as it is, In between dealing with ISIS and trying to restore a war-battered economy, it is clear that its government no longer has the means to conduct any higher-level experiments in quantum manipulation, if it had even done so in the first place. That leaves the US, who have always had an interest in Iraq, as well as other nations who may be aware of the potential ancient Middle Eastern technology could have, and who have long been rumored to be involved in the development of 6th generation warfare, a generation of warfare based on the actual manipulation of time itself. Do you believe that the struggle for control over ancient technology is taking place? While clearly over the top and highly unlikely, there is no smoke without fire. On the next episode we will go back to the first episode of the mysterious Middle East to further and critically examine the hypothesis that the ancient Egyptians were somehow crossing parallel realities via the Mandela effect. Till then, watch the first episode, the link is below, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe.